is to look for a company. You don't need to write this, it's just a reminder. What you need to do is to partner with any company. You can work for them, you can partner with them. The most important thing is that you do something so that you can make money. Am I communicating? Now, on that note, anything you do, you fry akara, you sweep floor, you anything, there are so many works to do out there. I want you to understand that the relationship you have with whatever organization that is paying you money is called a transactional relationship. What type of relationship did I call this? Yes. So this type of relationship, you can survive, you can earn a living. And I know you don't want to survive, you don't just want to earn a living. You want to grow to the point whereby you can build transgenerational wealth. Yes or yes. Now, if that is going to happen, then you need to connect to a mentor that is going in your direction of interest in life. We call such person the mastermind mentor. What do we call such person? A mastermind mentor. Now, this mentor should have what we call systems and structures. This mentor should be able to have enough experience to teach you the millionaire skills needed for you to build your own organization, for you to build your own community, for you to build your own empire, because to build your own family as well. Why I'm saying this is because the family you create is more important than the family you came out from. So you should be able to teach you millionaire skills like what? People management skill, problem solving skill, emotional intelligence skill, leadership skill, right? Leadership skill, self-awareness skill, etc. Now, these skills should be able to help you to build your own organization. It should be able to help you to build your own community. We have different types of community. We have Muslim community, business community, we have Christian community. Am I communicating? It should also help you to build your own family where business and transactions are done. Now, from what you are seeing here, you see that we have two different set of persons here. The people you need and the people that need you. Am I communicating? Now, the only invariable factor here is you. You are the only one that can change because you cannot do anything about these people. So the most important relationship is the one between you and your mentor. And such relationship is called transformational relationship. What did I call it? Transformational relationship. Now, this type of relationship can help you to build a fortune. It can help you to build transgenerational wealth. You can build legacy having such relationship. So with what I've just shared with you now, I want you to understand that there are two factors that can make this relationship to work. Just two. The internal and the external. Now, the external is called contributing factors. What did I call the external? Now, the contributing factors actually contributed to where you are. The naira, the dollar, the economy, your parents, the school you went to, the neighborhood you are living, they all contributed to where you are. I agree. But that is not the main reason why you are where you are. Because any events that happen around you is subject to your interpretation. Interpretation means it is from the inside, you now interpret what happened on the outside, right? Now, what determines your interpretation is called the determining factors. What did I call them? Now, the determining factors are the virtues you find inside of you. It comes in two ways. We have the negative, we have the positive. So the negative are such as the bitterness, the doubt, the hatred. They are there. But what you need to do is to ignore. What do you need to do to them? Now, focus on the positive factors or the virtues you have inside of you. Examples of those virtues are your peace, your talents, your giftings, anything that is positive, that is of good thought, that have been recommended for us to dwell on. So today, we are going to go straight to a topic that have actually helped my financial life, and I would like you to apply that as well in your journey to success. In fact, by the time we are done with this training, Anything you touch will definitely turn to gold. Okay, I'm going to be discussing a topic today says the financial blueprint of Abraham's success. The financial blueprint of Abraham's success. Another name for blueprint is principle. Another name for blueprint is what? Principles. When you search your Bible, there are 4 things you are going to find there. The first one is called promises. The second one is called principle. The third one is called pattern. And finally is what? Perspective. The promises talks about God's integrity. He said, instead of his word not to come to pass, let the heavens and the earth pass away. That is how serious he takes his words. Now, principles, you look at his consistencies. If you look at every scripture, you see that there's almost the same way he does his particular, like he's so consistent that he can never fail you. The way he designed the rainy season and the dry season, for years, it has never changed. You already know the time dry season will come and the time rainy season will come. Am I communicating? So he has been so consistent that you can predict God. Hello? Patterns. This is his ways of doing things, and this is how he sees things. Now, today we are going to be exploring the promise God gave to a man called Abraham. And we're now going to see how his wisdom, how his principles, how his blueprint he has as a man actually aligned with the promises God gave to him. And today we call Abraham the father of all nations, right? Okay, so we're going to start. We live in a time of eternity. Eternity is timeless. From eternity, God can see the end as the beginning. He declares the end from the beginning. Unknown unto God are all his works. Now God speaks of the things that are not as if they are, because from his perspective, they already are. So when God makes you a promise, he is not telling you what he is about to do. He's informing you from the future of the things that he had already done. So while we actually first of all laid a foundation on promise, is for you to understand why should God walk with Abraham in the way he walked with him. Yet Abraham aligned himself to make sure that the purpose of God in his life came to pass. And today he's called the father of all nations. So you say you want to build legacy. So if we can follow his principles, his patterns, we will surely get there. Okay, so we're going to look at the book of Genesis. I'm not a pastor, but our trainings will always come from the scriptures, because anything we see as morally right is easy for us to accept it. Okay, so we'll go to Genesis 14, from 14 down to 16. Verse 14 said, you don't need to write. And when Abram heard that his brothers was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 308 of them, and pursued them unto Dan. Verse 15, he said, and he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Habor, which is on the left hand of Damascus. Let's take 16 at once. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brothers Lot, and his goods, and the women, and also the people. Now, before we explore the strategy Abraham used in Genesis 14, before we explore that, the real explanation of what happened in Genesis 14 actually is in Genesis 12. You know, I used to read the book of Genesis 12 as a book of faith, because I don't see how somebody will leave his father's house and say that he's going to somewhere they will promise him. You've not seen, you don't know where you're going. They just say, leave your father's house. And you know how God does his things. Until you obey the first instruction, you are not qualified for the second one. Am I communicating? But this man took it to himself to leave his father's house. Today we're going to explore that same Genesis 12 from the point of promises. In Genesis 12, we heard God calling Abraham and making promises to him. Not little promises, but big promises. God promised him a land, seed, blessings. And God said, in your seed, all the families of the earth. Let's look at a seed. If I tell you that something is going to happen in a seed, that means by the time I plant that seed, if I not plant the seed, tree will not come about. Now, the essence of planting the seed is so that fruits can come out of it, correct? Now, if you look at that statement, it said, in your seed, all the families of the earth will be blessed. Now, if you look at it from an imagination perspective, you want to describe it using imagination, is a global vision. If I want to describe that statement using imagination, what God gave Abraham is a global vision. Now, do you know what marveled me the most? Write this down. Describing that by imagination, it is a global vision. Write this down. God gave an old man a global vision. That is where I'm coming from now. That is where our discussion today will now start making sense. God gave an old man a global vision, and it was generational because it will begin with him. Then to all the families on earth will be blessed. God gave an old man a global vision beyond his reach, beyond his means, and beyond his years. How do you explain that? How do a 75 years old man process and digest a vision that will outlive you? It only takes faith to believe such. It takes faith to believe that even if you are a young man still starting your family. An old man who have gone childless over his years. Now, we are giving you circumstances that will make him not to believe, but he still believes. It's only faith that can make that work. An old man who have gone childless over the years, believed it, took it to heart, organized his life, and aligned his life such that it will align with the promises. Now, another paragraph. The problem is that a promise from God initiates a process from God before the prize appears. We're trying to take out the principle of Abraham, right? How was he able to align himself with the promises of God to a point that today he is now the father of all nations? There was a time it was just a promise, according to the scriptures, but today is a reality. So what steps did he take that now made that promise come to reality? Now, the first thing I want you to understand is a lot of youths want results without the process. It's not bad though to have results. It's just that you might not be able to repeat that result again. You might not be able to sustain the result. You might not be able to teach another person, transfer it to another person, because if I'm transferring results, I'm not supposed to transfer a physical thing. I'm supposed to transfer the ethics, the concept, the discipline that brought the wealth, right? Because success leaves clues. If you actually knew how you got there, you should be able to tell someone else how to get there. Am I communicating? So the disadvantage of avoiding the process is that you will not be able to sustain your result. And I'm sure you don't want to get there and come back. The worst thing that happened to you is to be rich and get broke. Oh, Victor. They will shout your name for streets. Oh, wow, you are a leader, Now only you know, say, what happened. Now only you know, say, wow, what kind of pass guy. But you just dey package yourself. You just be trying to match up with that standard of living. But the honest truth, wealth is not meant to be sustained. Wealth is built. So write this down. We like to jump from promise to price. Promise. Write it down. God made me a promise. Therefore, I am going to sit down and watch it come to pass. God made me a promise. Therefore, I'm going to sit down and watch it come to pass. This is why a lot of our Christian brothers, they are speaking in tongues. But when it reach to marry our ladies, nothing to show. They allow our ladies to go and meet our unbelievers brothers, and they will go because they cannot remain there. They have to get married. So what I'm trying to say is this: we like shortcuts. We like shortcuts. Like this training I asked you to come for now. Possibly I know there are other ways to get you to the result you are looking for. But me, I know that the only way you can sustain a result is to improve your identity. Now, the only way to improve a man's identity is through education. Education came from the word edusera, inside out. Am I communicating? Now, if I change the quality of your education, it will change what? Your personality. That means instead of telling you do this, do no, I rather educate you, improve your personality, and you see it will reflect in your action. Why a promise of God initiates process? The process is necessary, mold, fashion, form, correct, and perfect you until you become the person who can survive your own success. Like, is it possible that your own success can destroy you? The answer is yes. Until you become the person who can survive your own success. Because success needs to be preserved. Now take this down. A lot of people think if I can just be successful, everything will be great. But the arena of greatness, there are haters there. Write it down. Envy is there. Critics are there. Saboteurs are there. Assassins, etc. They are all there. To be successful launches you into the arena of greatness. And guess what? The arena of greatness is a very dangerous place to be, because you are going to be seeing people that are envious. You are going to be seeing critics. You'll be criticized. You're going to be you'll be sabotaged. Assassins, people that want to eliminate your life, they are there. Haters, they are there. etc. And so, God has made you into a kind of person. And so, God has to make you. And so, because of the dangerous nature of the arena of greatness, God has to make you into a kind of person who can survive your own success, which is why jumping over the process is a bad idea, because you might end up in an office which you are not equipped to handle. Now let's relate the breakdown. Now, we've actually told you initially that we're going to use Genesis 12 to analyze Genesis 14, but we've not yet explained the strategy he used, because in Genesis 14 we were told that he was attacked, if you read the scripture with me. So I've not even come into the strategy he used to recover the goods, his brother and the women, everything back safely. We are trying to establish why and how he got there, so that we can now know the strategies to apply in our own personal finances. So write this down. God told Abraham, I'm making you a big promise, but it is going to involve a long and difficult process for you to become the person who can be the father of many nations. You will have to be tested, tried, purged. I will take you on a 25 years journey before he saw one child, let alone multitude. You look at what happened here, you now see why a lot of persons can never be great. Because did you know what it means? So sometimes when you are mentioning goals, your dreams, only if you are willing to be part of the process. Only if, okay, write this down. You understand why he was able to go through the process. Write this down. Abraham had to die in faith. I want to explain to you how he was able to pass through that process. Abraham died in faith, believing that God will keep the covenant he had with him. I'm telling you how he was able to pass through the process. Abraham had to die in faith, believing that God will keep his covenant with him. God's integrity. So that is what promises is all about, right? God's integrity. Believing that God will keep the covenants he made with him, with his children, and with his children's children. That means the only way we can survive process is to die in faith. No wonder the book of James told us that faith without work is dead. Although God on his own eyes does not count faith from your works, he counts it from your heart. That explains it in the book of Romans. It's not a discussion for today. So today, Abraham went into this process stage, dying in faith. How do you walk into the process stage? Dying in what? I believe we have overemphasized the God of promises and underemphasized the God of process. So many people are excited about promises and are confused by processes. They even lose faith and quit on God because of process. I think it's time we revisit the God of process. I think it's time for us to revisit the God of process. It is time we develop a healthy appreciation for the time needed for me to become the person who can handle my own success. For me to become the person who can handle my own success. And that's where we're going to call it today. The online community. Today we have been able to educate you on the importance of promises. Yes, you might find yourself with the promises of God in your life, but you are confused at some point because you do not understand that for every promises, it automatically initiates a process before the price sets. So if you are able to watch this video and it gave you value, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell and share to your friend. And I believe together we'll all get to the top. Have a wonderful day and bye for now.